Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be going to the Texas Aroid Show in Houston, Texas. This is going to be my plant haul, but I did want to show you some of the vendors that I ended up getting some plants from. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. I am really excited because I was invited to go cover this plant show, so definitely check out the future videos that I have. But today I'm going to feature the plants that I ended up getting. The first one was from a vendor called Art Garden Flowers. This one is actually an Indonesian seller. Please make sure you are following them on Instagram at artgarden.flowers. I was able to get in touch with Riki, who I met actually at the Dallas Plant Con 2024 in Dallas. As you can see right here, they have a lot of imported plants, and that's the reason why I love going to plant shows, plant conventions, because you will see international sellers like Art Garden Flowers, as well as Greenspaces ID. You can see that you can acquire a lot of these rare philodendrons. They actually had some here from Becca, who was actually part of Riki's plant business. I would say she's kind of like the broker or somebody that also works on the staff. This one is a variegated golden dragon philodendron. This is one of my wish list plants, and this one is only for $275. That is super cost effective considering how high the variegation is. And these particular plants are actually from Becca's personal plant collection. So these plants have already been acclimated. You can see right here, this is a Hoya Argenti Princess, one of the more rare, highly sought after Hoyas. That one is quite pricey, however. And then you can see right here, Philodendron Florida Beauty crossed with the Philodendron Tortum. You can see this one actually has a little bit wider leaf shape. This one is for $500. And again, these particular ones I'm picking up are actually plants that have already been acclimated to a US environment. The thing about it is, whenever you go to a big box store or even just any type of plant nursery, a lot of these plants are already grown in-house versus just importing plants from overseas. So there is a process. Typically, the country that you're getting it from has to have a phytosanitary certificate. It does take a while for that to get produced. And then whenever it gets shipped to the United States, there is always going to be some type of risk involved when actually dealing with Indonesian or even import plants from Thailand or just import plants in general. There is that potential that the plants may not always travel well. And so that's the reason why whenever there is a show like the Texas Aroid Show, I always like to take advantage of the fact that these plants are actually going to get to you in a timely manner. All you have to do is actually show up to the actual show, and then you'll be able to pick up the plant. So I am very excited about that. And as far as the Texas Aroid Show, I'm super excited that I'll be able to share lots of long content just featuring the Texas Aroid Show. I did want to send a special thanks to Lenny. That's Mylene, but she likes to be called Lenny. Thank you so much for inviting me again to this plant show. I hope I do it justice by providing a lot of long format content. Again, for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Definitely stay tuned for that video. I have about 2 videos that definitely installed, one long playing video of the plant setup. So if you've never seen a plant convention or a plant show set up, definitely stay tuned this week. I will definitely have those scheduled as a premiere. But going back to the plants, as you notice, this is Art Garden Flowers booth. You can see right here that they have many different types of philodendrons and some more rare and uncommon plants. They have been packaged, and you'll notice that any import plant will not be shipped to the United States with soil substrate. They always have some type of sphagnum moss setting, because as far as like soil, you're not allowed to go ship overseas in soil because of the potential pest. So they will always have sphagnum moss. But very excited because I'm going to show you my plant haul today. You can see over here we've got some Aglaonema widuri, which is one of the Aglaonema I ended up purchasing from Riki of Art Garden Flowers, Indonesian Aglaonema, which is some of the best Aglaonema in the entire world. They have so many different varieties, and I always say that as far as Aglaonemas, they're so underrated. You know, whenever I went to the Texas Aroid Show, from all the people that I talked to, everybody was really going after the Anthuriums. Like, everybody's into Anthuriums, as well as the philodendrons and other aroids. But as far as like Aglaonema, nobody was really talking about it. And part of me really does believe it's because there's not so many varieties that are readily available or seen, at least in this part of the world. So as far as the Aglaonema, you will definitely see many varieties that I will showcase in my my video. So hopefully I do it justice. Hopefully I'm able to showcase a lot of the beautiful Aglaonema today. That one was an Aglaonema Minion, which is another one that I ended up purchasing. So if you notice, with the import plants, they're going to always be shipped in sphagnum moss. So if you're going to a plant show like Texas Aroid Show, you can't just take this plant and just expect to take the sphagnum moss off and put it directly into soil. There is an acclimation process in which I'm going to show you the process for me. Normally, I will just put them into soil after just keeping them in water, just to make sure that the roots have actually hydrated and that they are viable roots. But I'm going to get to that. But as far as art garden flowers, highly recommend purchasing from them. And if you're able to go to a plant show like Texas Aroid Show, I would definitely get in touch with the plant sellers that are from Indonesia, or even the plant sellers from Thailand. The international plant vendors have some amazing plants that you will not typically see at most of our stores, or even local nurseries. That is your opportunity to really get some hard to find plants for a very cost-effective price. Oftentimes import plants are a little bit more challenging to get, and a little bit more costly, because you do have to pay for the shipping, which can be a bit much. So as far as like buying plants, whenever I buy import plants, I buy them by the bulk. So that way my shipping cost, the phytosanitary certificate, is worth the while. Or you can always get in touch with other friends that want to put in a big bulk order. But you can see here, they've got a lot of these Anthuriums. And when I tell you that Texas Aroid Show was a huge success, I can tell you that it was, because there were so many lovers of plants and so many beautiful plants like this. I mean, you can see there are Anthuriums, and I'm actually filming this right before the general admission people came in, so there weren't as many people, because it's really just for the folks that have paid for a VIP pass. And you can see right here, before I even got these plants shipped to the show, they already sent me a picture of the plants that I was going to receive. So as you can see right here, I ended up picking up the plants. I got several of them. These were carefully packaged and given to me. You can see right here, it is the Aglaonema species. So I pretty much just got, I believe, 10 Aglaonemas right there. And I'm going to end up showing you the unraveling and unpackaging of each Aglaonema. Super excited to show you that, because I want to be able to provide more confidence when it comes to buying plants from overseas. Specifically, if you're going to do a pre-order for like a plant show, just know that I will be honored to be able to go to another Texas Aroid Show. I'm hoping that they will go ahead and do another show in Dallas, definitely in Houston. I got to meet so many kind people, so many cool plant lovers, and just even the organization and staff of the Texas Aroid Show was really top notch. I know that there was a little bit of stress in terms of just whether the show would turn out really well or not. But if you're going to ask my honest opinion, it was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and I happened to get some really good quality plants. I'll let you be the judge of some of the plants that I show you today. And then you can see right off the bat.
Can you actually give me an empty trash
I went
bag?
ahead and showcased the first one that I took the cardboard out already, the cardboard wrapping. This is the Aglaonema Minion. And here's the thing about the Aglaonema Minion. So there is a very famous Aglaonema hybridizer by the name of Greg Humbali, and this is one of his hybrids. So I was actually able to send a direct message to Ricky at Art Garden Flowers Instagram, and asked him if he had any Aglaonema specifically from the Greg Humbali hybrids, and he was able to show me that. I was also able to get a really good plant pricing from Art Garden Flowers. And so even though there is slight risk in buying plants overseas, I mean, you can even see right here, this one isn't necessarily perfect. There is one leaf that has yellowed out, and that's very common. So if you're ever going to import plants from overseas, just know that the plants may not always come to you perfect because they are traveling, you know, thousands of miles away. They also have gone through a little bit of trauma in terms of being uprooted from maybe a soil substrate or a cocoa bark substrate. Here is another beautiful Aglaonema that I ended up getting. This one is an Aglaonema wooduri, and you can see right over here, this one is a larger form Aglaonema. I love the orange variegation of the Aglaonema wooduri, and again, I ended up getting a really good price for this. What I do intend to get these plants is I'm gonna go plant them in a pond substrate where basically it's going to be semi-hydro. I have been really into semi-hydro because number one, being able to watch plants grow in semi-hydro, it just makes the plant care a lot easier. And when I say a lot easier, you don't have to worry about watering your plants nearly as often because for some reason the water reservoir with the semi-hydro just kind of keeps the plant you know, hydrated, and then you don't have to worry about plant pests because plant pests will not typically live in pond. And so I have quickly converted a lot of my plants into pond. I am currently converting a lot of them into pond because I find that they are a little bit more really just easy to take care of. Now, whenever you are importing plants, notice how I'm taking the sphagnum moss. You'll know that this was a good import. So what I would say is, even though some of the leaves may have yellowed or may have some damage, the most important thing is the roots. So you can see right here that this is still pretty fresh in the roots. You can see there's some new white growth. So this is actually a really good, healthy root system that I can easily put into pond substrate. And that's the thing that makes import plants easier, is because they've already taken the soil out. They've already cleaned the soil. I will also show you how I disinfect and make sure that there are no pests from imports. Even though countries like Indonesia, they have to have a phytosanitary certificate, which basically means that the country has provided all the necessary things to do in order to prevent pests going into the plant. So they've already been desanitized. They should be pest free. But I always say, whenever you buy plants, whether it is from a big box store, a local nursery, a plant show, or if you've imported plants, always assume that there could be potential pests, and it's always best to go with the, you know, an air of caution. So this one right here is an Aglaonema jaipon suksum, and I always love red Aglaonema. And you can see right here, as I take the sphagnum moss off, that this has a pretty decent amount of soil roots. Now obviously I want to make sure that I clean up the roots. So I'm going to show you that in the next step. But as far as the plants I've gotten so far, all of the root systems have been really good, viable roots. I don't feel like I have to really keep them in water for long to really reroot them. Sometimes whenever you buy plants from overseas, you have to kind of keep them in a water in order for them to kind of either repropagate or get some more roots before you put them in a substrate. I always recommend keeping all of these plants as you unpackage them, to put them in water to rehydrate them. The good thing about it is, this is the reason why I feel like anybody who has missed out on going to the Texas Aroid Show, highly recommend going to that particular show, because you'll be able to get a lot of these import plants, and a lot of these plants are going to be fresh imports, as in they were shipped maybe 5 days before the actual show into the United States, so they didn't have to do too much traveling. And I can tell because the roots, whenever I touched the roots, they were still pretty hydrated, so they weren't really dehydrated. There are a couple of stories where people have done imports and the import kind of gets stuck, and then instead of the actual plant making it to the United States all the way into your home within a minimum of 5 to 7 days, they could get stuck for 2 weeks, and that is a lot of trauma for a lot of plants. And I've already gotten plants from Art Garden Flowers before, from PlantCon 2024, and all of the imported plants that I got that I was able to put in water have either moved into a substrate like Pon or Leca, or have stayed in water, and they're still super healthy. Now this one right here is an Aglaonema Sultan Brunei. I've ended up actually importing this plant, but through negligence, I wasn't able to really keep the plant alive. It is rehabbing from last year, but the thing about Aglaonema is once an Aglaonema kind of goes through stresses and really starts to decline in health, it's really a long process for them to bounce back. So I always say, with a word of caution, stay on top of your plant care for Aglaonema. Things that really hurt Aglaonema would be super underwatering, even though they are drought tolerant, and plant pests. Aglaonema could be attacked by spider mites and mostly thrifts. So I always make sure to spray all of my plants down with a neem oil spray. I live by neem oil spray. I make my own neem oil spray, and you know, that's something you'll see further along to the video. And you can see right here, this is a really good root system. And again, plant foldies, for those watching this video, this is what you need to do in terms of an Aglaonema that you're importing, or any plants that you import. So for those that have actually went to the Texas Aroid Show and you're watching my video, hopefully you are following the process of just acclimation. Never assume that you can take a plant from an import and not have a rehabilitation process or an acclimation process, whichever one you want to call it. For me, this is an Aglaonema tricolor, and I ended up just getting this for $15. I know that I could probably get one that's already acclimated in the United States, but I am really happy with all of the Aglaonema and the plants I've received from Art Garden Flowers. Ricky is so good about just communicating. Literally, I can send him a message on Instagram and he will respond very quickly. And, you know, that's kind of what you want to do, is if you're going to go correspond with somebody overseas and import plants, you want somebody that is very much just very readily available, that can answer your questions, any of your concerns, or even see the plant that you're getting. I always think that that is a huge plus, especially from Art Garden Flowers. And no, they did not sponsor me from this, you know, for this video. I really am excited to showcase all of the plants that I'm getting from Texas Aroid Show. I didn't really buy as many plants from the local vendors because I feel like there's going to be another show and they're going to be more readily available. Some people always discourage others to say, hey, you know, you might want to just buy from the local vendors versus the import, but I feel like it's because not everybody is experienced on how to acclimate an import. Like this one right here, even though there is some yellowing on the leaves, I am actually more excited at the fact that these roots are very much more white. I would say out of all the Aglaonema, these roots are probably the most healthy looking roots. So I already know that once I plant this in a substrate like Pon, it will bounce back within, you know, a couple of weeks. And then over here is another Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema Harley Queen. Now this is another Greg Humbali hybrid. So of my haul today, I have gotten 3 Greg Humbali hybrids. You will see that, you know, as I unpack this one is a really large Aglaonema. And again, I got a really good price for this one. I don't remember how much I paid for, but when you think about the phytosanitary certificate and all of this special care and packaging and just the size of the plant, super excited about that. So I'm not paying like a premium for the plant shipping and all of that. But as you can see right here, they have really packaged a lot of the Aglaonema, and I'm really excited that they took the time to really care for that. So for anybody that actually packages these plants for Art Garden Flowers, thank you so much for doing that. I can really tell that there is a lot of passion, a lot of care when it comes to just packaging these plants. Aglaonema are plants that may not always travel well, but the ones I'm seeing so far have traveled really well, and I'm really excited to keep showing you what I have as far as my plant haul. Now, if you made it to this far into the video, again, plant foldies, please make sure you're hitting the like button. It does help with pushing this content out to more plant lovers like yourself. We are so close to getting 11,000 subscribers, and for those that are making it here because you are part of the Texas rare plant market, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy my content, because I am enjoying showing you my process as a plant lover, a plant collector. If you want to call me a plant influencer, I always find that kind of funny people would say that, but for me, I just like showing you the raw data that I have as far as like plant care, my insights, and what you've seen. And so far, all of the Aglaonema, I mean, you can be the judge of it, have you know, traveled very well. Look at how beautiful the leaves are, and the roots are really viable. They're nice and healthy. They're not mushy. They're not squished. So these are plants that I am very confident will acclimate in my space. Now, as far as substrate, I really do believe in the semi-hydro substrate. So ever since I discovered the wonders of Pon, it has really worked well for me. Now this one is an Aglaonema Lotus Delight, and you know, Lotus Delight Aglaonema is one of the most beautiful Aglaonema there. I got a really good price from Riki, and so I couldn't help but buy this Aglaonema. It is one of the slowest Aglaonemas. It is probably one of the toughest Aglaonemas to keep alive. Unfortunately, I had sent one to Plant Heaven a couple years back. I was able to get an Aglaonema Lotus Delight from Toltec Plants, and it's doing fairly well in its Leca substrate or Pon substrate. I did regret not putting it in a substrate like Pon immediately when I bought it from PlantCon 2024. So I intend to go ahead and make sure to put this Aglaonema in a Pon substrate, and you can see right here, this one is a perfect one. I'm so happy about it, and I can't thank Riki enough because look at how beautiful that Aglaonema is. And that's why I want to ask anybody that's watching my plant haul today, why is it that Aglaonema are not highly sought after plants? You know, when you think about Aglaonema, they come in so many different varieties. I say this in all my videos. They are drought tolerant, they are low light tolerant, and there are so many hybrids you can pick from. Obviously, you won't see these beautiful Aglaonema in the US market as often, but even Costa Farms has released some really nice looking Aglaonema. For me, my intent is really to get you guys excited about Aglaonema and perhaps get more people growing them, get that conversation going. And as far as my import plant haul video from Texas Aroid today, please make sure you are leaving any questions you have, any insights you have in the comment section. I will respond and really get that to you. And then as far as just being able to buy these plants, I will leave the link to the Indonesian importers that I bought from. And then you can see right over here again is another Aglaonema Jaipong Suksum. Just know that I bought doubles of this because there is a particular plant foldy by the name of Rose that I want to go ahead and gift one of these Aglaonema Jaipong Suksum. You have been such a loyal plant foldy to me, and I want to make sure that I can acclimate one, put it in Lechuza Pon, and if I see you soon, I'll be able to give you that as a gift. You know, we have some of the best plant foldies out there. I was able to meet a couple of plant foldies out at the Texas Aroid Show in Houston. Really excited for that, and it really just made my day because I was able to meet some of you guys. I know that I was able to meet Tina. I was able to also meet Bella from Houston and your husband, and you guys were awesome. So again, plant foldies, feel free to reach out to me if you ever want to do a meetup or if there's another plant show. I know I intend to go to the PlantCon 2025 Orlando edition as well as the Houston edition. So let's keep in touch. I'm trying to work on getting my Facebook back up. For some reason, there were some issues with the Grow Folds Facebook, but I'm hoping to get that back in function. But as you can see right here, going back to the plants, this one is a really super healthy looking root system. I did get rid of some of the yellowing of the leaves because I feel like that's just going to get more energy out of the plant. I want to make sure the plant has viable roots and really focuses on that before it starts to push out new growth. And then you can see right over here, this is another beautiful Aglaonema. Now this one was a little bit more pricey. This is an Aglaonema Kanza, and this is another Indonesian import and also an Indonesian hybrid. Look at how beautiful that red foliage border is. Look at the striping of this one and even the pink stems. I'm hoping that I can grow this plant. I mean, this is basically the more redder version of the Aglaonema Lotus Delight. We'll see what that looks like. But as far as these plants, what I intend to do is make sure to grow them in Lechuza Pon. I actually had to get more Lechuza Pon from my friend Steven of I Lift Plants because he actually had a bag. I don't have enough soil substrate, not soil substrate, I'm sorry, semi-hydro substrate to grow these. And so I am just really thankful that he was going to share a bag with me. But as you can see right here, these plants are looking super good for what, you know, what traveling time they had. You can see right over here, the sphagnum is really just to keep the soils moist as they travel. It's not something that, you know, I would recommend growing them in. I would say if you're going to ever import plants from Indonesia, Thailand, or anywhere else, have them grow in a semi-hydro substrate. And then if you want to convert them into soil, that might be an easier conversion, because the truth of the matter is importing plants is a process. And that's the reason why whenever you think about the pros and cons. I think the only con is just the acclimation period. But once you get the plants to acclimate, you can look at the plant pricing and how much more cost effective it was. It's just a little bit more patience. But you can see here, I've got all the plants here. I am spraying them with my DIY neem oil spray. I sprayed the bottoms of the leaves, the tops of the leaves, definitely the roots. And then I will be one by one cleaning them up with water. So like I want to make sure that the roots are really clean before I go to the next process. So I'm actually just washing each and every single one of them right now, and then I'm going to take them and let them dry a little bit before I put them into their nutrient water solution. So as you can see here, it's really easy. You want to make sure that there's no leftover sphagnum moss. You can see that the Lotus Delight, for instance, it's got some really nice healthy roots. And again, this is just a video to show you my plant haul, obviously from Texas Aroid Show, but also to highlight importing plants. There is a lot of question about what the process looks like. For me, if you're able to find somebody like Riki from Art Garden Flowers, where you can connect with them, you'll be able to get some really good looking plants. He is somebody that I am just thankful I have met at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas. You know, all of these plants right here, you can see right off the bat, they've got some really nice healthy roots. I've seen some horror stories where some people have made, you know, review videos of imports that did not go well. A lot of times an import that doesn't go well is, number one, you might have gotten plants that have some really bad root systems. Number two, somebody might have gotten scammed where they paid for the plants and then the seller just never sold them or sent them. And, you know, unfortunately, that does exist in the plant world. You know, whenever you put a monetary value on particular plants, sometimes people don't always make the best life decision. Sometimes people don't always act with integrity. But I will tell you, the two Indonesian plant shops that I bought from today that I'm featuring are ones that are reputable. I have purchased plants multiple times from them, and it's one that, you know, for me, if you're ever going to import plants, you want to make sure that you find an importer that will basically, if you send them a message, they'll respond to you within the same day or at least within the 24 hours. And there's many reviews. I always say if you buy import plants from, say, Etsy, eBay, or even Instagram, make sure you vet them out. Make sure you've seen reviews. Make sure you've not only seen reviews, make sure the quality of the reviews are legitimate, because sometimes people can just make fake accounts and make reviews. So you really want to make sure that there is a diverse amount of reviews and the communication is open. All of these exist within Art Garden Flowers. And again, you know, to Riki, I mean, I am just so excited. And what's going to happen is, now that I made a connection with him and his team, I'm able to get more Aglaonema. Like the fact that I can send him photos of Aglaonemas that I would like for him to find in Indonesia is already a huge bonus. That is what you call amazing service. And for me, with the, you know, with all of the vendors that we see these days, I always say, if they're able to go that extra mile, they're always going to get my sale. They're always going to get my review. They're always going to get a feature on my YouTube channel in terms of just my honest review. And you can see here, look at the roots, plant foldies, look at how healthy the roots are. I'm super excited. I will say, going to Texas Aroid Show, I mean, it was like a 4-hour drive and I was like extremely tired. I'm glad that I went with Luke. He was the one who drove me down there, and I was able to actually spend some time with my grandmother. And, you know, my grandmother is turning 89. I mean, she's 89. She's going to be turning 90, and she just had the best time at Texas Aroid Show. Kudos to the team, and I can't wait for you guys to see all of the vendors that I featured from the Texas Aroid Show. So please make sure you guys are watching this video. There is going to be a Texas Aroid Show playlist, so you can binge that. But as you can see, all of the roots are all cleaned up. You can see that all of the roots are viable roots. And what I mean by viable is that these roots are not needing to be intensely rehabbed. So if you got a Aglaonema, for instance, and all of the roots were mushy, you basically have to just cut all of the dead roots, all of the black mushy roots, and then put it in water with a little bit of nutrient solution. You're pretty much going to have to repropagate it. But all of these Aglaonema that I got definitely do not need to be repropagated. So I'm really excited to get them into Pon and Leca. I'm gonna have to do a combination of both because I don't have enough lechuza pon, and you already know what happens when there's an out of stock on Amazon. It takes a little while for it to get reestablished. But the next thing I needed to do was actually, after you clean the roots and you make sure that the plant leaves are clean, pest free, is to go ahead and get a vial of a clear bottle of water. And then make sure that you're filling it up with just a little bit of nutrient solution. So what I did is I'm actually filling this particular one up. So I just put half a dose of what was asked as far as the liquid fertilizers from Fox Farms. That is the one, nutrient solutions I use to mix my nutrient solutions for my semi-hydroponics. I can kind of give you guys an idea of that in another video, but basically I mix half the dose into a gallon container and then pour half a dose of that solution into my watering can with just regular water to dilute it. And then you can see right over here, this is such a beautiful Aglaonema wooduri. I'm loving the oranges because at least in the United States, we don't really see Aglaonema with that type of color. And again, plant foldies, if you are interested or have questions about the import process of getting plants like these overseas, definitely leave a comment in the comment section. You can send me a direct message on Instagram, and I can also point you to the Instagram accounts of these reputable Indonesian sellers. Like, this is what I have always wanted. This is an Aglaonema minion, and what I like about the Aglaonema minion is look at the stripes and the patterns of this Aglaonema. Now, obviously this one is going to be a little bit more of a finicky Aglaonema. I would say some of these more fancy hybrids like the Aglaonema Lotus Delight, you really have to watch how you care for these plants. Now, with the ones with the more color, like the pinks and just the oranges, you want to provide it with more bright indirect light for it to really get that best variegation. And that's the thing about Aglaonemas is, at least in the United States, they are labeled or marketed as a actual plant that doesn't need quite a bit of light, but I would always say giving them a little bit more bright indirect light is always going to be the best thing, just because they're going to be the most healthiest. And then this Aglaonema Kanzan, and you can see right here, this is a healthy established plant because you can even see that there is a new growth unfurling. Now, whether that new growth will successfully unfurl because it did get imported remains to be seen. What I mean by that is, as you get these Aglaonema or these import plants acclimated to your space, sometimes you'll lose a couple of the leaves. Sometimes your Aglaonema or your import plant will actually reduce and kind of just revert in its health, where it might look bad at first, but then it'll bounce back up. It's part of the acclimation process. And you can see right here, Aglaonema Sultan Brunei. I really love that peach tone about it. It is more of a round shaped leaf. I love the white stems. I just love everything that Riki of Art Garden Flowers was able to send me. And just know that I'm already working on my next import haul. I know that his next shipping date is going to be November 6th. So let me go ahead and, create some funds for that. And again, plant foldies, feel free, if you want to send me a monetary tip via super sticker on Instagram, you can see that it should be on the far right hand corner. If you just press the $sign, any monetary tip that you want to provide for me, that would be awesome. And I am going to be really transparent about that. I'm not going to be ashamed about, encouraging those that do want to support me in that aspect. But honestly, the biggest way to support the Grow Folds YouTube plant channel is just by your viewership. And again, I want to say thank you to those that continue to tune into all of my videos, to tune into my live premiere chats, for those that share my YouTube channel, my YouTube videos on their social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, whatever platforms you have. I really appreciate it. And you can see right here, plant foldies, Aglaonema Jaipong Suksum. You can see that I already have my clear cups where I'm going to put that nutrient solution. Again, this is just a really low dose of nutrient solution. If you want to know what nutrient solution I use, I actually use the Fox Farm Grow Big liquid solution mixed with the Fox Farm Tiger Bloom fertilizer solution with a little bit of Super Thrive. And I also use a silica solution called Protect. that you can all buy on Amazon. I mixed that into a 1-gallon jug, mix it up, and then put that in the water. I would say silica solution and Super Thrive are one nutrients that you want to put in that water, because it's going to help get the plant bounce back. And you can see right here what a successful import, process that I got from Art Garden Flowers. Look at all of the beautiful Aglaonema. I mean, please hit the like button at least if you think that these Aglaonemas look great, because look at this Aglaonema minion, so beautiful. Aglaonema Kazan, and I am just really excited about that. And you get these types of plants when you go to a phenomenal plant show like the Texas Aroid Show. Again, it is one of those shows that you need to be involved with. I would say definitely follow the Texas Rare Market at Instagram, as well as the Texas Aroid Show on Instagram. Make sure you show your support, because I'm hoping to see more future shows for them next year. The next vendor I wanted to show you is the Greenspaces ID at the Texas Aroid Show. This one was their booth. As always, please follow their Instagram as well at greenspaces.id. You can send them direct messages and they will respond to you. And then I did want to ask, have you hit the like button for this video? If not, please make sure you are hitting the like button, again, because it does help me out. But this was me featuring some of the clips of the booth that they had at the Texas Aroid Show out in Houston, Texas. You can see that they have so many different plants, and all of these plants were really priced at an affordable price. And you have to think, these are plants that were shipped over from Indonesia. And so whenever you go to a show like Texas Aroid, you're already bypassing the shipping cost. You literally just show up there and you can find plants like this Dracaena Milky Way. I wish I would have bought that. I was just really inundated with so much emotion going to the Texas Aroid Show, because there was just so many kind people, and even just the organizers, Ate Lenny, she was just awesome. Everybody was just so much fun. And you can see right here, look at all of these variegated plants that Greenspaces ID has. If you want Anthuriums, if you wanted variegated plants, and all of the plants for the most part were super healthy. Sometimes you'll see a yellowing leaf here and there, and again, that is common for import plants. I would still say you're still getting some really good value. I mean, you can see right here, this is a Monstera albo. They had some other Monstera aureas, for instance. And as far as saving money on plants, I would say you can save money on rare philodendron aroids if you import overseas, especially when you get them and pick them up at a plant show like Texas Aroid. Now, this one was another Aglaonema that I got from Greenspaces ID, and for me, I've already bought plants from Greenspaces ID. I remember when they first sent me some plants to review, it was such a successful send. Like, they literally sent it directly to my home, and the process was really good. And what I like about Greenspaces ID is you don't have to necessarily have an import license. They have a broker that's able to import the plants, I think in New Jersey, and then from New Jersey, it's sent to your home. And so there is really a really good process about it. And I also like the fact that these plants have come from a viable, sustainable source. And that's really important for me. And for those that are new to watching my videos, as you can tell, I love to talk about plants. So hopefully you are still staying engaged with me, because for me, this type of plant content, this type of way of presenting plant videos, it's just me. It's me loving to talk to you. And again, it's one of those things where if you want to hear somebody talk about plants, get the plant insights, and this is definitely the channel for you. But as you can see right here, Aglaonema Peacock Merak, and this one was a really inexpensive Aglaonema. I love the fact that it was a large Aglaonema, a lot larger than what I saw in the pictures. And I'll tell you, they actually sent me pictures of the actual plant via Instagram, what I was receiving. And to me, that is huge kudos to just the sellers at Greenspaces ID. I know there are some mixed reactions for people that have bought from Greenspaces ID, but if you ask me, they haven't really sponsored me for any videos, and I've bought from them 3 times and I haven't had any issues. I will continue to buy from Greenspaces IDs because number one, Indonesia is the epicenter of Aglaonema. As you can tell, hopefully I didn't really, disappoint anybody from my plant haul. Everybody was asking me, Richie, what are you going to get at Texas Aroid Show? It definitely wasn't a full haul of Anthuriums. I did get some Anthuriums imported from Greenspaces ID, but for the most part, it was really Aglaonema. And call me crazy, call me somebody who's not really the norm when it comes to plant collecting, but that's definitely what I got. And then you can see right here, I'm also in my Syngonium phase again. I love Syngoniums. I was able to get a variegated Syngonium white ribbon, which is quite uncommon. I would say pretty rare in the United States. And the thing about Syngoniums is they bounce back pretty quickly. They're pretty resilient plants and they're easy to propagate. So there's just so many things that tick the box up to why I ended up buying this Syngonium right here. You can see that it is a little dehydrated, but nothing crazy. The thing about Syngoniums is their roots actually can adapt to water pretty quickly, and this has some pretty good variegation as well. I do like that it has more of a narrow shape to it. Aglaonemas come in so many different shapes and varieties, and they're pretty vigorous growers. The only one that I would say is a pretty slow grower, if you're going to ask me about Syngoniums, would be the Syngonium Strawberry Ice. But this one right here traveled very well, and just like Art Garden Flowers, Greenspaces ID is another reputable company. You can see their website. You can see that there have been several reviews. Some people may not always have had the most perfect import plant, but I will say if you have issues with Greenspaces ID plants, they are able to work out a deal or actually address your concerns. I've seen that from other reviews, and that's always important to me because whenever you're shipping plants, whether it's from Indonesia, thousands of miles away, a different time zone, or even from state to state in the United States, there is always going to be a risk of what happens to the plant. And typically it's not because of the seller. It's usually because of the mail carrier. And I hate to say this, but that's really what it is. Whether the plant gets stuck in transit, whether the handling of the actual package was adequate. There's just so many factors, environmental factors. Like, I always get nervous because, it is getting a little bit colder. So like if I'm going to buy any more import plants, I need to try to get import plants before it gets any colder, because these plants could either be frozen, or if you buy them at the wrong time, like if I'm going to import plants in the summertime in Texas, which is where I'm based at, out in North Dallas, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't really recommend that. And then you can see right there, Anthuriums. Anthuriums have really nice root systems, and they really lend themselves to semi-hydroponics. And then I actually ended up getting a philodendron black cardinal. Call me crazy. It's not a plant that I couldn't find at a local nursery here, but they had it available for Greenspaces ID. They actually had a pretty nice size one. I'm going to get rid of that yellowing leaf. So whenever you actually get plants from overseas, what I would also recommend is to get rid of any dead leaves or any leaves that is about to retire from the plant. There's two reasons for that. Number one, you want to get rid of the dead leaf because it could potentially harbor pests or encourage pests to get to the plant. And then number two, that leaf that's retiring could be one less leaf that kind of sucks up energy from the rest of the plant. So it's always better to go with less leaves if that means that the leaves that you have available are going to be more vibrant and just more vigorous as compared to having dead weight. But you can see right here, this is a beautiful philodendron. It's a common one, or I wouldn't say common, but it's uncommon. I don't really know where to categorize it, but philodendron black cardinal. Excited about that. I love my dark foliage plants. And, when I met one of my viewers out there, she traveled all the way from Austin by herself, and she was just awesome. I really appreciate you really taking the time to actually think about, the things that I say about my plants, the fact that you were able to actually mention what my favorite plants are, neon colored yellow plants, dark foliage plants, and pink plants. That just really brings a lot of joy to me. And like I said, again, the plant foldy community, the grow folds community, everybody is welcome. Everybody can share their plants, their love for plants, and I just love talking to y'all. I just wish I had more time to really engage with a lot of the plant foldies. I was just on a time crunch at that day. I was really trying to do my best to really get content for the Texas Aroid Show because I really took that job seriously if they're going to invite me to be called a plant influencer. So hopefully the next couple videos I show you of the actual show will really provide some justice of how wonderful the Texas Aroid Show was. This one is an Aglaonema red sum, and I bought this Aglaonema because it was a really good plant price. And again, Greenspaces ID, they were able to give me more of a discount because maybe it's because I have become a loyal customer for them. But I really appreciate that they gave me some premium pricing for these Aglaonemas. This one is beautiful. It actually looks like the Aglaonema Pride of Sumatra, which I will show you because I ended up getting an Aglaonema from Wild Roots Nursery. It's a nursery out in New Braunfels, Texas. And, I'll talk more about that, their nursery later, especially when I show them at the actual plant show. But you can see right here, I am just carefully taking this Aglaonema out. This one looks like it is a little bit sideways. So I'm curious to see what, how I would have to orientate this. It looks like it might have been a side cutting. So here's the thing about Aglaonemas is Aglaonemas are best propagated because of, little pups that they shoot. So they'll shoot little baby shoots and then you can separate it from the mother plant. And I feel like this might have been an offshoot from a mother plant. I mean, my question is, plant foldies, what do you think so far of the plants that I've received from Texas Aroid Show? Do you like the Aglaonemas? Do you have questions about the Aglaonemas? Please leave that in the comments. I would really like some more just engagement from y'all, just so I can see where you guys are at in terms of some of the plants I'm showing. But as you can see right here, there is a new growth point coming around, so that's a really good sign. And you can see that it is a side cut, but it does have some viable roots. Now we're going to be looking at this Anthurium Papillinaminium narrow form. So I am getting into Anthuriums. I feel like Anthuriums is really going to get me into another rabbit hole, just like it has with Aglaonemas. But Anthuriums are beautiful. And what I did find is there are a lot of people that are into Anthuriums. If you love Anthuriums, definitely go to like the Texas Aroid Show. Definitely follow Texas Aroid Show on Instagram, but more so Texas Rare Market on Instagram and Facebook. So that way you'll stay up to date with that community. It is an awesome community and you will be able to find vendors that sell Anthuriums. But I ended up getting this Anthurium for a really good price at Greenspaces ID. And the reason why I wanted to get more Anthuriums is the 3 Anthuriums that I've received so far growing in semi-hydroponics have done amazing. I have an Anthurium magnificum that actually grows in Pon and it's doing very well, but my other ones are now growing in a combination of Pon and Leca. It kind of saves me a little bit of money because Pon can be a little bit pricey, but I swear it's still worth it. I also enjoyed listening to the plant Poppy. He did a little small presentation at the Texas Aroid Show morning banquet where he talked about semi-hydroponics, how to transfer them. And it was really enlightening to me because there was a process that he mentioned that I am going to attempt or try today. So normally whenever I put my semi-hydroponic substrate like Pon, I will actually put a water reservoir, like fill up the water reservoir. I'm actually not going to fill up the water reservoir for about 3 to 4 days, and then we'll see what that looks like. And the plant Poppy, if you haven't already, please follow him at _the plant Poppy on Instagram. He was really kind and it was really nice to chat with him. It's funny because he dubbed me as the Sia of the plant community because I don't really show my face on YouTube. Some people wondered, and it's really interesting how some of y'all that I met out at the Texas Aroid Show mentioned that they finally get to see the face behind the voice. I always get this question asked as to why I'm not on YouTube. I'm faceless on YouTube, and it's simply because I want you to focus more about the plants, the insights of the commentary, and also to separate a little bit about my personal life and my social media presence. And I really think that we have to have a balance of both. And for now, until I may be comfortable to do a face reveal, that might happen soon. You'll just have to definitely check that out. But as you can see here, another Aglaonema. I got the Aglaonema Red Legacy. I ended up getting the Aglaonema White Legacy from Toltec Plants. And so I want to get that. And I also want want to get the orange legacy, there might be another one. But as far as Aglaonemas again, and as far as what you've seen from my unboxing here, you can see it is a little bit of a tedious time. I actually did have to edit out a lot of the unboxing part because I didn't want you guys to get a little bit bored. But I also felt that, you know, it was important for me to show you the unboxing and the process of acclimating and getting your import plants available. So it's a 2-in-1 special. You know, you get to hear some of my insights about Texas Aroid Show. You get to see my my process of how I take the sphagnum moss out, clean the plants, inspect the plants. Again, plant foldies for me, number one is the roots. If you have some viable roots over here, you can see that this one has some really nice roots as well. Then you will be winning at just the overall process of getting an import plant. And it's very important. Like this one right here, that is going to work well for me. You know, some of the brown, some of that is just probably just old, you know, just old roots that you can either cut off, or you can just make sure if it's not mushy, like if it's already stiff, then you don't have to worry about having to get rid of it. And again, for me, it is all about the roots when it comes to like import plants. And as you can see right here, Greenspaces ID also has a really good way about packaging the plants. They put a lot of care to the plants. I mean, you can see here, this one is an Aglaonema Ruby. Now this one was super inexpensive. And while it's mostly green, I don't mind the green varieties of the Aglaonema. Obviously, I like the really colorful ones as well, but greenery for me, green plants are also plants that we should all love just as much as we love the variegated plants. And if you go to like a show like the Texas Aroid Show this past you know, weekend in Houston, you would see many variegated plants, but I always tell everybody to also not forget the green plants. Green plants, just a nice green, nice shiny, healthy looking leaf. There's something about how it calms people, or at least for me, you know, whenever I talk to a lot of the people that were out at the Texas Aroid Show, a lot of people have utilized plants or growing plants to help cope with the stresses of life. I could agree with that as well, because I do think that nature itself is very healing. The process of taking care of plants is really healing. And for me, that's really good roots, by the way. Something that really stuck to me after listening to the Plant Poppy's presentation is, you know, the one thing that plants have done for him is actually make him grow. So we're growing plants, but plants help us grow as individuals. And I stick by that because for me, growing plants, it also grounds me. It gives me a routine every day that I need to try to stick to. And to you know, to me, I feel like a lot of times we get lost in the, you know, in the weeds, as some people will say, because we fall off of routines, whether it's making your bed when you wake up, whether it's you drinking 8 glasses of water. And I know that I am a little bit, you know, rambling a little bit about things that are outside of the plant content right now, but, you know, going to the plant, you know, a plant show like Texas Aroid, I was just able to really listen to a lot of people's insights about just plants in general, what plants do for them, and just seeing the passion. And that for me is really important. I mean, just listening to some of our plant foldies' love for particular plants, it was really exciting. And even to the vendors part, you know, the amount of passion, energy, effort. I have to commend every single vendor that went to the Texas Aroid Show. There is a lot of energy spent in you creating a show. It's not something that, you know, for us, we just show up and buy plants. But you have to think about all of the vendors that either drove there, had to package their plants for the Indonesian or international plant vendors. There was still a process of getting a phytosanitary, you know, certificate for each and every single plant that was brought to the show. And then just the packaging. I mean, you can see here, all I would say is all of the plants that I just got from the Greenspaces ID, you can see they were already cleaned up. So I used my neem oil spray, I sprayed them down, and then I washed all the roots up really good. And now they are ready to go into you know, their nutrient water. So what I intend to do now that I put them all into these glass vials is I made this video. I actually got back from Dallas at 6:30 on Sunday. And so I actually did this whole process Saturday evening. What I want to do is actually leave these plants overnight just so they can sit there, get some nutrients in, get hydrated, and then the next morning, and you'll see this in the process later into this video, is me transferring some of them into Pon. At that current moment, I didn't have enough Pon and Leca to get every single one of them, but like I said again, you know, whenever you have plant friends that are able to get you a little bit of Leca or Pon, that's what I had to do, and hopefully by the end of Sunday evening, I will be able to transfer a lot of them into semi-hydro. But as you can see, import plants from Indonesia. These are a combination of Aglaonema and other plants from Greenspaces ID and also Art Garden Flowers. Thank you so much, Riki of Art Garden Flowers, for really staying close to me, as well as Greenspaces ID. The staff that always responds to my messages, direct messages on Instagram, you guys are awesome. And yes, I may have been that other person who went to Texas Aroid Show not buying a bunch of philodendrons or anthuriums. I literally inundated myself with all of these Aglaonemas, and hopefully exposure to these plants. I don't know why you guys aren't buying Aglaonemas. Like, everybody who's all in these anthuriums, you need to be buying Aglaonemas. You need that. You need it so bad, just like I need you guys to really love Aglaonemas. But beautiful import plants from Indonesia, absolutely stunning plants, ones I would recommend. And we're gonna go see what they look like the next day. So you can see it's about 12 hours later. The roots look really good. The water is super clear, even though it has all of the nutrient solution. All of the plants are perky. This is Sunday morning, and you know, mornings are always going to be my favorite part of the day. I mentioned this before. I love how the morning light hits just my home, and just a representation of the morning. You know how maybe you might have not the best day the previous day, but there's always a tomorrow. And you know, tomorrow or this morning, I wake up and all of these beautiful Aglaonema that I was so thankful for to get at the Texas Aroid Show from those Indonesian plant sellers. They are looking really great. They're ready to go into their semi-hydro substrate. Now, some people will say that they probably need to stay in water a little bit longer. For me, I'm a little bit confident because the health of the plants, they don't look like they traveled too long and they weren't, under a lot of stress. So I am going to go start the process. So this is the process of transferring into semi-hydroponic substrate. What I'm going to use is Pon. And you can see right here, we're going to start with this, and you can see that the roots are pretty good for this Aglaonema widuri, and we're going to see what that looks like. So the first thing you want to do is, for me, definitely have your supplies ready. So I am actually going to use a 6-inch self-watering planter. I'm going to utilize Leca. I'm going to use a little bit of Leca at the base of it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of my Pon that was actually gifted to me by the plant Poppy. Again, thank you so much for that wonderful lecture. You really did get me excited to just go ahead and transfer all of my plants into Pon. And then what you want to do is actually hold the plant up. So I'm going to put another layer of Leca, and then what I'm going to do is, since I don't have enough Pon to just put Pon all the way, I'm going to mix a lot more Pon but with a little bit of Leca to just kind of further my semi-hydro substrate. Some people will also put like nutrient granules into the semi-hydro substrate, but what I'm doing right now is I'm just mixing it up, and I am shaking and patting the sides. That way there are no air bubbles with the Aglaonema or the roots. So that's what you want to do, is make sure that you pat it down gently from the side, so that way you can shake it up and make sure that all of that substrate comes around. You know, I'm mixing up some more of the Leca and Pon together, and I'm just going to fill this up. That's the first step. And then you also want to make sure, at least for me, some people utilize like they basically put the plants in like a jar or some type of container, and to just stick the pon in there with no self-watering container or a net pot, as what I would call it. For me, I like to use a net pot that I can put into an actual pot with a water reservoir. That way I can pull the plant out. If I need to flush the substrate, I'm able to do it to where if it's over fertilized, or you just need to clean the substrate, it's easy to just run regular water over it versus having a water reservoir. Now again, it's all about your preference, but for me, that's what's worked for me. And after watching a lot of the other presentations at the Texas Aroid Show, a lot of the common themes that I got from the speakers was, you need to do what works best for you. You need to also realize that everybody's growing environments in their homes are different. So you have to make adjustments based on what your current environment is. And I liked that. It really resonated for me. So not only did Texas Aroid Show provide amazing vendors, they also had great presentations, and I was just really blown away by that. I learned a lot about Hoyas. I learned about basic plant care, and here I am talking about plants on a daily basis, typically big box store plant shopping videos, and there was some more plant care tips that I learned, specifically Hoyas. I didn't realize that certain Hoya, when you actually provide them with less light, actually end up growing larger leaves. I thought that would have been the opposite, but the science behind it was really interesting. But aside from that, as you can see right here, plant foldies, this is what I am doing for some of that. It looks like I've successfully got all of the substrate, and now it's just sitting there. And then I am going to go ahead and get ready to do this one right here. I wanted to prioritize my most expensive Aglaonemas first. So like, the Aglaonema Lotus Delight, I got it for a really good premium price, but if you were to find that on Etsy or anywhere else, you would be buying it close to 3 figures for sure. This is not a plant that is, cheap. I would say it is more of the pricey plant, but for this one right here, this one has some really good roots. And again, Ricky, thank you for choosing a very healthy Aglaonema Lotus Delight. I'm hoping that I can grow this into a larger specimen, perhaps get some babies out of it. We'll see. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, I am back at it in terms of just my Aglaonema era. This is a plant that I definitely want to do, but as you can see here, I have just mixed up my pon again in my net pot. I'm just kind of patting it around, making sure that the plant is actually settled in very well. Now with Aglaonemas, I tend to try to get a lot of the trunk or the stem further into the pot, because sometimes Aglaonemas have a tendency to get a little bit leggy. So if I'm going to go ahead and plant it further down into the pot, it becomes a little bit more bushy in its appearance. So until it starts to push out baby pups, which make it even more bushy, I tried my best to try to get as much of the plant into the pot, so that way it can actually grow even more roots out of its trunk area, and we'll see what that looks like long term. But that's basically all I'm doing. And if you have any questions about anything specific about the plants and how to transfer them into a semi-hydro like pond, this is the process. So right now they've been overnight soaking in nutrient solution. I am now putting them in net pots with pon, and then we're going to go to the next step. But for now, I just really wanted to show you a couple of the Aglaonema that I did. You can see that I am patting the sides of it to try to get any air bubbles out. Normally I would put pon all the way through, but I don't have as much pon, so I did mix a little bit of leca just to get to keep it I guess to just spread as much of my semi-hydro substrate. But you can see right here, this is another successful pot up with pon, and you can see right here that is their water reservoir, and then the net pot just sits over here, and bam, there you go. What I'm going to do next though is, after I pot up all of the other ones, you can see right here, this is the Aglaonema Peacock Merak, and this one is going to be potted up in an 8-inch planter, or actually a 6.5, 7-inch planter. I'm not sure, but I am putting more leca on the base just because it can take a little bit more surface and fill up a little bit. And then I've mixed up more leca and pon together, and that's what this one's gonna have. This one is a larger plant, and what excites me is I have no qualms about this plant actually acclimating in my space. I mean, look at how massive the root system is here. And again, I got a really good price from Greenspaces ID for this particular Aglaonema. I am really satisfied with what I received from them. And I can't say enough positive things about these two sellers. I do encourage people to consider, buying plants, importing plants, especially Aglaonema. I know we're not going to see a lot of these Aglaonema. I know the Costa Farms would be able to get more Aglaonemas out to us, but the Indonesian Aglaonemas, the ones that you would see from Thailand as well, if you can find a seller from there that will import plants, definitely do so. And if you feel like the shipping is going to cost a lot, what I would say is get in touch with friends that also want plants from overseas. You'll be able to split the cost on the shipping, because I do believe the more plants you purchase from a lot of these import sellers, they will do, they will either cover the shipping all the way, or you're able to at least split the cost for the shipping. So that's just some of my tips, but you can see right here, I potted this beautiful Aglaonema up again from Greenspaces ID. And you can see that I'm saving the nutrient water, because what I'm going to do is, after I actually clean and soak this the substrate with just regular water outside, which you will see, I will water it again, rewater it again with the nutrient solution before putting it back into its water reservoir catch pot. But another successful pot up right here, and you can see it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to just get these plants up in a semi-hydro substrate. And you can see I'm just adding a little bit more right over here. Again, plant foldies, if you made it this far into the video and you like what you see, please make sure you hit the like button for this video. It does help with my channel out as far as getting more of this content pushed out to more plant lovers like yourself. I do want to see our plant community grow. I'm hoping that we can get to 11,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We need about 80 more subscribers, so hopefully we can share this video, especially for those that are curious about importing plants, what that process looks like on acclimating them. I would always say, if you're able to get import plants and put them in a semi-hydro substrate like Leca or Pon, I would actually choose Pon if you're able to get it. Do that first, and then if you still want to put them in soil, it makes the acclimation process less traumatic for the plant. But you can see right here, this is the pot I'm going to use, and this is another successful pot up. And gosh, I just love that white stem on the Aglaonema. And then this is another Aglaonema again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the bottom with some Leca first, and then we're going to mix some Leca, mostly Pon, and then some Leca to just really spread out the substrate. This one is the Aglaonema Harley Queen. It's another Greg Hambali hybrid of Aglaonema, and this is the one from Art Garden Flowers. Look at how juicy and healthy the roots are. I'm gonna try to get most of the stem also underneath the pot, so I can just get it right where my thumb is. I'm gonna go just put more Pon and Leca substrate in there, and we're just gonna pop that up right there. Let me know what you guys think so far of the way I'm doing this. If this video is helpful for you, again, leave questions. But this is literally my Texas Aroid plant haul. There are a couple of other plants that I did receive from Texas Aroid. So I ended up getting a variegated black stem alocasia, as well as a Epipremnum aureum resort, or a Japanese pothos for DNM Secret Gardens. My friend May gifted me one, and I also got some Plantitas Dreams plants as well. I got me another Japanese pothos, two more Japanese pothos from her, and I got a succulent from Winnie from the Rare Succulent vendor. And those were really a lot of the plants that I have, but I wanted to focus mostly on the import plants that I got, because these are plants that you don't really see often in the market, especially these Aglaonemas. And whenever you think about going to a plant show like Texas Aroid Show, you really want to utilize that time to find plants that you won't necessarily find. These are plants that if you're going to find them, especially in the United States, you probably have to order them online instead of, getting to see them in person. And for me, having these plants already shown to me via photos. They've even sent me videos of the plants. It got me really excited, and it really boosted my confidence in a lot of the sellers, these international sellers. And the fact that I was able to find you know, a trusted importer like Greenspaces ID, as well as the Art Garden Flowers by Riki, just brings me a lot more confidence to buy more plants in general and to share that journey with you. Hopefully you guys like the Aglaonema that I've gotten so far. I'm super excited. So if anybody else doesn't really like them, I want to just grow the plants that I like. And for me, I've seen a lot of people follow plant trends where you want to get the most rare variegated monstera or some type of plant where everybody wants it, but is it really something that you truly want? And for me, I'm not going to add any plants in my plant collection, especially now that I've really inundated my plants with, you know, my plant collection with more plants than I can honestly maintain. That is the reason why I am doing semi-hydro, you know, growing my plants in pond. It makes it easier because the care and the watering isn't nearly as much. And then you can see over here, one of my favorite Aglaonemas. This is the first time me acquiring the Aglaonema Minion. It is so stunning. And again, I got this for such a good price. I cannot tell you how much this actual Aglaonema would cost if you were to buy it from another seller. But these sellers like Art Garden Flowers, highly recommend it. You need to reach out to Riki. You need to reach out to Riki as soon as you've watched this video if you want Aglaonemas. His next ship date is November 6th, and I'm already trying to get some of these Aglaonemas set up for me. But as far as the process, it's pretty easy, right? Plant foldies, make sure that the roots are healthy. Make sure the roots are clean. So make sure that there's no dirt, there's no sphagnum moss left before you put it in a semi-hydro, because that can actually hold and harbor fungus, and then it can actually give you root rot. That's the reason why semi-hydro ponics, like growing them in pond, you risk the potential of root rot because there's a lot more aeration through such porous substrate. And as you can see right here, it's pretty easy. It can be a little bit time consuming, but as you can see, I'm mixing some leca, pon. I'm just patting the sides to really get the substrate just evenly distributed around the roots, and that's basically it. And you can see right here, plant foldies, we've got the Aglaonema Kanza. This is another beautiful Aglaonema, and I am just filling up the base with some of the semi-hydro substrate, mostly Pon and a little bit of Leca. And then I'm going to go ahead and place it further into the pot because I want to make sure where I have my thumb is where I'm going to end up having the substrate top it off. And once I do that, once you get the substrate to top off, what you want to do, and some people may disagree. Some people say you don't necessarily have to rinse the pon or the leca. For me, I do, just because I want to get rid of all of the dust and leftover substrate. Want to make sure that it's a clean substrate. You'll see that in the next process, but all I have to do now is just finish filling up the catch pot right here so I can put it on top of a self-watering reservoir, and it will get that going. But I'm going to pack it down just a little bit. You have to be careful though. You don't want to press down onto the top of the substrate because you don't want to break any roots. You just want to gently pat the sides of the the catch pot, so that way you can evenly distribute it around the soil. And we're about to go to the next step, and hopefully this has become a little bit helpful for you in terms of just number one, seeing how it is to treat plants that are imported from overseas, and then number two, if you ever just want to transfer plants from soil to semi-hydro like pond, this is basically the process I've done. And I want to do more content like this, how to do stuff. And then obviously I know everybody was asking me at Texas Aroid when I'm going to show my plant collection. It is going to happen very soon. So just make sure, number one, you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, but number two, double check that you have the notification bell on, because whenever I upload videos, you will be immediately updated. Now, this is the next part. After you put all of your Pon and Leca into the catch pots, you want to take either a hose, and I wouldn't recommend actually watering them in your sink because you don't want to clog up your sink with the dust and the sediments. So I always take my plants outside in my back patio. I take a hose and I basically just gently water and just get all of that soaked in. Just make sure that all of the soil, or not the soil, but the substrate that I've used is actually rinsed out completely. And what I do is after I've rinsed out all of the substrate, I'll let it sit there for just a little bit for it to drain, and then I will water it with nutrient water. But that's basically what you do, is you just rinse and wash out the pond and also the leca completely. That way we get rid of it. And then sometimes I'll even water wash up the leaves. And then the next step is water with nutrient water. So basically that's something I will go into further detail later, but basically I already have my pre-nutrient water solution diluted at half dose, and I'm just going to water. So that's what the nutrients are there, that's going to stick with the substrate, because I'm actually not going to put a water reservoir. I'm not going to fill up the water reservoir with any nutrient water for at least a couple of days. According to the plant poppy, I want to see what that does for my plants, on whether it's going to make the acclimation as well as the transition a little bit smoother by just not putting any water in the reservoir. But it's pretty easy. You can see that I have all of the nutrient substrate. What's important for me as far as the nutrient substrate whenever I am watering it is I do like to water with silica solution mixed into it, because it makes the plant a little bit more hardy, or at least I believe it does, as well as watering with Super Thrive. Super Thrive has B vitamins that really helps with stresses, and some people say that it doesn't do anything for them, but I do believe it does, and it's a way to just de-stress the plant. And then lastly, I use Protect Neem oil spray. So I like the smell of the Protect Neem oil spray. I would love to continue to review products from them. So hey, We the Wild, if you want to send me some products, I can definitely plug you there. But I love using this because it's organic. There's no chemicals. It makes the plant super shiny. So what I'll do is I will spray the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of the leaves, the stems. Even though I have my plant foldy mist, the plant foldy mist that I use to kill the pests, but I like to use We the Wild neem oil spray for some of these plants, because what I do is after I spray it, I use a microfiber cloth and actually wipe down the leaves, and then they become super shiny. But this is the final outcome. You can see all of the Aglaonema look super healthy. They're super shiny. They are pest free. At least I think they're pest free, since they've gone through so many processes of getting cleaned. And you can see right here, this is the Japanese pothos that I was gifted. Thank you so much, May of D&M Gardens. And then this is the Aglaonema Pride of Sumatra, which I am eventually going to take out of its substrate and put it into semi-hydro, just like I did with the Aglaonemas. I haven't shown all of the plants from my plant haul, but most of them are here today. You can see that's an Aglaonema Manila's Pride that I put into pond last night. And you can see right here, Aglaonema Peacock Mirak from Greenspaces ID, Aglaonema Lotus Delight from Art Garden Flowers. Thank you so much, Riki. That is one of my favorite Aglaonemas, because it is one of the best Aglaonemas. And then you can see right here, Aglaonema Widuri. What a beautiful large leaf Aglaonema with that beautiful orange tone. And then Aglaonema Sultan Brunei. This one is another beautiful Aglaonema with the beautiful white stems. But as you can see, plant foldies, this is my plant haul from Texas Aroid Show. What do you guys think so far? And I do recommend you guys hit the like button today if you like this video. Hopefully you did, and leave as many comments, questions as possible. I will answer every single one of them. This is Richie at Grow Folds. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will have another Texas Aroid video featuring the actual show this week, maybe tomorrow.